it's ridiculous to have lumped bills because you get less accountability, you kludge everything together, and what you're acknowledging is there's absolutely zero strategy in what we're doing. We're just throwing money at stuff. And so I get Senator Langford's magic pen speech because he's very upset, but his solution was going to institutionalize illegal immigration. So just because you're throwing $20 billion at the border doesn't mean you're solving anything. There's the tools to do that right now. In the case of Ukraine, why are we giving $60 billion? Why did we give $120 billion to something that we don't know what it's going to achieve? So let's look at $118 billion that's been spent so far. What did we get for that money? It doesn't look like we're getting very much other than more war and a complete breakdown of the economic system of Europe. Meanwhile, the Russian economy has actually been starting to improve in this sanctions environment. It's the same thing down in the Middle East. Where's the money going and what will it achieve? We're not even standing by our ally in this thing.
Yeah, this war has also shifted the power dynamic between Russia, China, North Korea, Iran over the last 2 years. Again, February the 24th is when we'll mark 2 years of this brutal, illegal war that Vladimir Putin continues to conduct in Ukraine. But you bring up a good point, General. Two points. What is the status of the war right now? We've been talking so much about Israel and all the problems we've got here at home that I think people have sort of forgotten about what's happening in Ukraine. And then the other part of this, and I know, again, we've only got a couple of minutes, but what happens if this doesn't pass? What happens in Ukraine if we don't give them another $60 billion?
Well, so let's rest easy that there's not any funding for Ukraine. There is. The Europeans just passed the EU passed a $50 billion package over 4 years for Ukraine. Germany made an €8 billion commitment to Ukraine. So Europe is starting to come to the reality that they've got to solve European problems. So it's not that Ukraine's going to go without. And on that 900-mile long border, there is nothing more than a hellscape that's been achieved. Millions and millions of landmines, hundreds of thousands of people dead, almost $1 trillion in infrastructure gone. And that's what we've achieved on 118 billion, with the Russians now threatening to take back Kharkiv. They just they have an invasion force there up in the northeast, and it's going after Kupiansk. And then we look to what the Russians might want to try to achieve in Odessa. But for $118 billion, Rob, where has there been an ounce of diplomacy in going and talking to the Russians about off-ramping this?
Yeah. I want to shift topics real quick. The U.S. carried out a strike in Baghdad last night, as you know, wiping out the leader of the Iranian-backed proxy Hezbollah, who was directly responsible for the planning and execution of the strike, killing 3 U.S. service members and injuring more than 40 in Jordan a few weeks ago. The U.S. strike hitting a car in the Iraqi capital took out 2 additional members of the militia there. Central Control, commonly called CENTCOM, took responsibility for the attack, writing, quote, "The United States will continue to take necessary action to protect our people. We will not hesitate to hold responsible all of those who threaten our forces." What do you think happens next, General?
Yeah, so I'm worried about how this went down. First off to the other world that you go, terrible terrorist leader who's been attacking our people. No tears shed that he was eliminated. But it's how you get eliminated in this. That rocks the boat in Iraqi politics like you can't even imagine. Last night on social media, they were all calling for Iraqis everywhere to come out and protest at the embassy of the United States. I'm very worried that what's going to end up happening is, what we should have asked is for the Iraqi government to go roll that person up, quite frankly. But since we've done it this way, what we're risking in the days ahead is expulsion from Iraq, which means if we lose the Al-Assad airbase, I can't imagine how we'll have sustainability for what we're doing in Syria. Maybe there's a silver lining there, but you would want to leave of your own volition. You don't want to be expelled from a country that, how much money did we spend in Iraq?
Yeah.
So this is a very tenuous situation that we're going to see, and we'll probably see some more attacks on U.S. forces now.
General, just about 15 seconds. Back to Russia, Ukraine. Tucker Carlson apparently interviewed Russian President Vladimir Putin. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's called journalism. So somebody go talk to Putin and find out what he's thinking. In my view, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a journalist who wants to go talk to the other side of that war. Certainly, we've talked to President Zelensky. This network has done an amazing job covering that. But Tucker Carlson wants to take that additional step.